At the beginning of the film, we see John and Sylvia. Enjoying their private evening, Sylvia gets John up early one morning to get him out of the home so she can go to work. He departs after realizing she is sad and doesn't want him around. Later, Sylvia sees a man observing her as she gets into a vehicle, but she chooses to ignore him and continues driving with her companion, Laura. The guy begins to pursue them as they drive away. Soon later, the women show up for work at a restaurant, where the guy observes the establishment before departing as the day breaks. Sylvia inspects the kitchen, where she is reportedly employed as a chef. Ignoring him, she moves to the dining room, where she attracts the attention of a businessman who is eating there. She then exits, sitting by the coast, feeling angry and sorry that we still don't know why. After cutting herself with a rock, Sylvia goes to a nearby cliff and looks attentively down at the roaring waves before choosing not to give her suspicions any more opportunity. She also goes back to work. The businessman invites her out that evening, and the stranger follows her home. The next day, she spends private time with the client at work. In the senator's dining room, Sylvia becomes anxious and instructs the head chef to make the senator's regular meals. John catches her and condemns her promiscuity. Sylvia tells John to concentrate on his job and disarms him by becoming preoccupied with the phone. After her working hour, the businessman comes to take Sylvia up, but John follows as they drive down an empty road, bickering, not realizing the stranger is close by, despite Sylvia's retorts about his wife and being married to someone else, claiming that he can only speak after leaving his wife. In the end, he spoils her date by making her walk, and when John offers to drive her home, she declines, walking past the stranger. Despite Sylvia's inability to comprehend his Spanish, she accepts his offer of a ride in English. The dude says his name is Carlos in the vehicle. Sylvia surprises herself by inviting Carlos into her apartment and attempting to woo him, but he declines and departs. On the other side of the story, Santiago takes his younger brother Cristo to a burned-out trailer in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico, which is where all of this perplexing drama began. He informs Cristo that their father passed away here, along with the lady he was having an affair with. Santiago discovers his mother Anna, her sister, and a friend sipping his father's whiskey. When he mentions that they are sipping his father's whiskey, Anna quips that the deceased guy will no longer do so. The brothers go to the funeral by themselves the next day, as Anna refuses to go. The woman's family confronts them after the funeral. Robert, the woman's husband, shouts that he hopes the family comes up to them. Santiago's father, who blames him for his wife's death, burns in hell. Santiago observes Robert's oldest daughter, Mariana, but the brothers choose to disregard this. A flashback reveals that Santiago's father, Nick, had a rendezvous with Gina, Robert's wife, and his girlfriend. Before they passed away, Nick took Gina to a borrowed trailer. Now, on the day of Gina's burial, Santiago follows her family home, waits for Mariana to be alone by herself, and then goes up to her. In another flashback, Santiago tells Mariana that he doesn't want to debate their families, but rather wants to know what brought his father and her mother together to become like this. Gina thinks up excuses to go out alone, but Robert insists on driving with her when he gets home earlier than she anticipates. Mariana rushes back inside and hears Gina saying, "I love you," over the phone at the e-store, despite Gina's assertion that she lost her money. Mariana receives the shopping list from Gina, who then requests the vehicle keys, saying she needs fabric. Mariana is suspicious when she sees her mother hasten to get into the vehicle and leave, where Nick is waiting for her. After they go, Gina goes back to the shop and says the fabric order wasn't ready. Mariana disregards her mother's deceit. After learning the truth after the murder of her mother, Mariana thinks back on the day she meets Santiago. She meets him in secret when he uses a slingshot to hit a bird. As they prepare the chicken, Mariana makes an attempt and is successful. Santiago reveals that his father taught him how to hunt. Santiago acknowledges that she loved her mother as well, but she didn't enjoy her surprise when Mariana asks whether he liked his father. Unfazed by the heat, Mariana in L takes the fried fowl directly from the fire. Years later, as his daughter cooks in a nearby shed, Santiago, who is now a crop duster pilot, sprays chemicals over a field. Maria, his daughter, runs over as Santiago is transported to the hospital after she unexpectedly witnesses his aircraft crash. When Santiago wakes up, he requests to see Carlos, but Maria worries while the physicians care for him. Despite Maria's resistance, Santiago begs Carlos to accompany his daughter to see her estranged mother. After that, they reserve a motel room in Oregon, where Maria confronts Carlos about her mother. Carlos informs her that her father looked for her for a long time and blamed himself for her disappearance, and that her mother was already gone when he met Santiago, his buddy. Maria said that she didn't want to see her mother, but Carlos must take care of bringing her to see her mother since his buddy Sanago has demanded that we go again. At a different plot point, where Gina, while complaining about the lack of hot water, surprised Nick by cleaning their hidden trailer. She stopped Nick when he touched her, stating that she didn't feel comfortable with that area of her body. Nick assured her that he didn't mind her scars when he kissed her after she disclosed that she had cancer 2 years before. When Gina got home that evening, Mariana informed her that her brother had been injured and required stitches. He began to weep for his mother and made Gina feel bad for not taking care of her children. Gina said goodbye to her kids as they left for school the next day. Mariana chose to look into her mother's questionable actions without realizing it, using the excuse of unfinished schoolwork as a pretext to return. Nick had just placed gas tanks in the trailer so that there would be hot water when she arrived. Mariana is devastated right now as she sees her mother with another guy. After Carlos rejects her, Sylvia walks, only to discover that he is following her. He admits that he knows she's Mariana when she confronts him. Until he brings up Santiago and displays a picture of Maria, saying she is Mariana's daughter, she rejects it. Sylvia denies this, orders him to go, and walks away. Later that evening, when we see her discussing family photographs with Santiago after their parents passed away, we can be sure that she is Mariana, since we are looking at the picture of the baby she left behind years before. Mariana wants a scar in exchange for his keeping the picture so she can remember that day. Not wanting to forget her either, Santiago consented and requested one as well. Mariana and Santiago scarred themselves that night with a lighter so they could remember their experience later. In exchange for not touching her in the parents' recollections, Santiago promised to remain at her father's vacant home. While Santiago donned his father's shirt, Mariana was requested to wear her mother's nightgown. She changed and went to bed with him. They ended up kissing back to the present in distress, despite his assurance. Mariana finds it difficult to concentrate at work. She asks JN in private whether he would ever love her. She recommends that they run someplace together after he says yes, but he hesitates, disappointing her. When she gets home, Maria and Carlos are waiting. Mariana flees out of fear and confirms her mother's affair by disappointing them in the past. After arriving home late, her mother quickly made supper. She pretended to be seeing a friend when Mariana questioned why she was late, but Mariana had previously checked and knew she wasn't there. Concerned that Mariana might find out about their romance, Gina sidestepped further inquiries and told her to assist the next day. Nick rejects Gina's request to end their relationship because he thinks they are in love and can wait for a way to go on. Later, Gina threw a picnic for her family as a surprise, but Mariana declined, saying she had a... Instead, she went to the trailer where her mother meets Nick in secret. These recollections cause Mariana to change her mind in the present. She begs Laura for help in finding Carlos and Maria while searching hotels, but they are unable to locate them during a break. Mariana confesses to abandoning her baby 2 days after birth because she felt unworthy when Laura inquires about what happened. She had stunned Santiago by meeting his mother and aunt years ago, and she was still looking for answers about their parents' deaths. Weeks before, while Gina and her husband, Robert, were intimating, Mariana had wanted to visit the bedroom where they had spent a beautiful moment together. However, he was unable to get her through, so Gina, feeling content and self-conscious, became sick with her life without passion as the days went by. Unbeknownst to her, Gina went back to Nick. Mariana noticed them together after following them one again. The distraught daughter destroyed the gas line in an attempt to frighten them and get retribution. Mariana and Laura eventually locate Carlos in the present. Unwilling to let up, Carlos closes the door when Mariana insists on seeing her daughter, but the deceived girl declines. Mariana reserves a room near Carlos and Maria's, but the next day when Carlos is in the parking lot, she finds that they are preparing to go. Maria ultimately resolves to give her mother a chance and asks Carlos to leave them alone together as Mariana rushes to their room to speak with her. She begs Carlos to listen, but he returns and stops her. After saying she's sorry for going away the previous day, Mariana talks about how she feels about Maria after being away from her for so long and praises how much she looks like her father. Then, after speaking, Maria discloses that her father, Santiago, is in the hospital after an aircraft disaster. Carlos informs Maria that Santiago, her father's son, asked to bring her mother to Mexico. Carlos is reassured by Maria that her mother will return. We go back many years. Cristo Santiago met Mariana despite his brother's discovery of their connection and his advice to break it up. When Santiago got home, his mother Anna was waiting for him. Cristo had told her everything, so she reprimanded Santiago for meeting the daughter of his father's lover. Robert's daughter was confronted one evening when a rock with a note disclosing Mariana's connection broke through his window. Mariana was struck by Robert. Mariana didn't dispute it, and as Robert drove away, she contacted Santiago to warn him. The day after she broke the gas line, Mariana is eager to return to Santiago's container. When Gina and Nick reconnected, she confided in her boyfriend and said she wanted surgery to hide her scar. But Nick reassured her that he loved it as they shared a kiss. Mariana fired their gas line in the hopes of forcing them out and catching them together, but as the flames grew, she became concerned when they failed to do so. The gas tank burst, locking the pair inside before Mariana could phone her mother. When Mariana realized what she had done, she started crying. Mariana finds out about Santiago's leg. Amputation may be necessary to see the individual who has the infection. While the doctor advises Mariana to go, she secretly looks at her ex-lover. Mariana requests to be left alone. She sits with Santiago, expressing her anxiety, and confesses that the loss of Nick and Gina has been a source of grief for her ever since that night. She hopes he will live to raise Maria. Robert learned about the connection. He paused to lament his family's loss as Santiago went by, and they exchanged glances before Santiago continued on his way to pick up Mariana. They fled that night when she hurried to join him. Mariana remains with Maria after seeing Santiago. When Maria notices that their burn scars match, she begs her mother if she would remain. Mariana is unable to refute Maria's presumptions by claiming that she would abandon them once again. Mariana remembers their time together when she was afraid to keep the kid, but Santiago assured her they could start again in Mexico as she looks at the photo she sent him years ago showing she was pregnant in his room. The next day, Mariana confesses to leaving because she was afraid Maria would become like her. She implores Maria to forgive her, but Maria remains silent. They found out at the hospital that Santiago won't need an amputation. She encourages Mariana to see her father welcoming her mother into the family, which makes Maria happy. For the last time, it transports us back in time, going over all the secrets and shredding them. In the hopes that they may finally break the pattern, Mariana accepts the offer.